just general complaints, I really do feel strongly that it should have kind of placed a stronger emphasis on how fits in with the Green Lantern Corps, because Green Lantern Corps to me is a big part of the appeal of the character, not just being Green Lantern by yourself, but being part of this huge organization. And since they kind of touched on it, the fact that he's a human and there's never been a human Green Lantern before, and they kind of doubted whether he could handle this, and he's got to live up to Abin Sur's reputation and memory among all these people who knew, liked, and respected Abin Sur so much. That would have been a very interesting dynamic, trying to gain the respect of these people and fit in while learning to control this power and really becoming the hero that he's meant to be. Also, I feel like the learning of how to use the ring came way too easily in this movie. Like, Secret Origin did a good job of this, like the trading, the amount of concentration it takes to form constructs, and not only form constructs and make them work, but the strength of the constructs themselves. That wasn't touched upon. And another thing with the rings, I think fans, like hardcore Green Lantern fans, might have disliked this. The rings talk in Green Lantern comics. Like, they will give the Green Lantern information about stuff. Like, if he asks a question, the ring can answer it. And that was kind of missing. Like, it wasn't a huge thing. I can understand the decision, but I think it might have helped with the overall coolness factor of the movie. What else is there? The other big decision that, other than the whole not spending much time in the space setting, that I felt was a huge mistake for them, was the use of parallax in this movie. Now, I'm going to give a mini lesson on kind of parallax in the history of Green Lantern here. If I botch this, don't kill me. But throughout the history of Green Lantern, the one thing that the ring does not work on is yellow. Like, anything yellow colored, the ring does not have any effect on. So it's just been this thing that is known about Green Lantern for a long time. It's sort of like his kryptonite, just this one random thing that they never bothered to explain. Then this seems kind of disconnected, but it'll all connect eventually. In the 90s, Hal Jordan went kind of crazy and became this guy named Parallax, and ended up destroying most of the Green Lantern Corps and really going on this rampage until he was stopped and then replaced with a new Green Lantern. Don't want to get too much into that. But basically, the Hal Jordan that people knew, the good guy, the character that people were familiar with, was gone from the comics for quite some time. Until the pretty recent story of Green Lantern Rebirth, in which it was revealed that Parallax was actually an evil entity, the embodiment of the yellow fear energy that was trapped inside the Green Lantern central power battery. So since that's the source of their power, that's why the rings don't work on yellow. So Parallax actually kind of possessed Hal and forced him to do all these things. It wasn't actually Hal himself that went insane and did this by himself. So it wasn't his fault. Anyway, so that's all you really need to know about Parallax, basically, for the background. The way they used him in this movie, well, whatever. The way they used Parallax in this movie wasn't really that effective, in my opinion, because it was just this big blob monster thing that really had... Parallax was the big villain of the movie. Like, Hector Hammond was like a secondary villain, but he kind of sucked too. No offense to the actor, but the story of Hector Hammond was not that interesting. He just wasn't a very good villain. So Parallax was the central villain of the movie, but he was just this kind of big thing with no motivation, no real presence or anything. So that conflict really didn't have much of an impact, because when the villain's just this big creature with a lot of power, it doesn't really mean anything to you when the hero is fighting him. There's not really much tension or anything. So the other problem with introducing Parallax like this, it takes away the whole mystery and the surprise of the reveal of what the true nature of this thing is, and why the Green Lantern's power rings don't work on Yellow. And they didn't even mention the yellow impurity in the movie, so I guess they kind of just glossed over that. And it really, I'm not sure what I would have done in terms of the villain of the movie, since I think it probably was best to not make Sinestro the big villain of the movie and save that for the future, but Parallax was not the way to do it. Some more criticism of the movie: I think the way that they tried to incorporate Hal Jordan's family into the movie was very weak. Like, they might have cut out some scenes, because they had one scene in which his older brother's kind of on his case about being a like ridiculous jackass, and then his younger brother's like, well, are you okay? I know you're a jackass, but I don't really want to come down on you as much as he is, because I know it, you know it, so I'm just going to be nice to you. Then he goes up to his nephew's room, and his nephew's being all, oh, Uncle Hal, you almost died. This is my birthday party, and even though I know you're alive, I'm still all traumatized anyway. And they have a talk, and it really, there was no resolution to the kind of problems that he had with his family. And I feel like they could have pretty much completely cut out his family if they were going to use them so poorly. And the flashbacks to the thing with his dad, that just didn't feel like it was incorporated very well into the story, or told very well. Like, Batman Begins, for example, did a similar thing with taking like brief flashes of the story of younger Bruce and incorporated them within the actual story of what's going on within the plot of the movie. But that actually felt like it flowed, and whenever you went back to it, you cared about what was going on, and it was just kind of building. With Green Lantern, when they did it, it just, the visuals of it, I thought, were kind of cheesy looking. Like, they had this kind of weird white look to it, I think, and it just didn't work as well. What else? There was this kind of random thing that this might have been another issue of poor editing, but when Hector Hammond's doing his whole villainous thing, and I think it's the scene where he's captured Carol, there was nothing at all to alert Hal that there was some kind of trouble going on, but all of a sudden Hal just kind of burst through the ceiling like, ah, here I am to save the day. It's like, what? How did you find out about this? Like, they must have shot. I really can't believe that somebody wrote a script in which they did not explain how Hal found out that there was something going on there. Like, I'm really hoping that they just accidentally cut out that scene, because that's really sloppy if they wrote it that way. I guess I will give credit to the art department and everyone who just designed the general look of things in the movie. Like, I think they did a good job designing Oa and the different alien Green Lanterns and the costumes. Like, all that was pretty decent. Although I kind of hated the design of the Guardians. I thought they looked a little bit too extreme. Like, if they, I guess they didn't want to draw too many comparisons to Yoda, another Star Wars reference in my video, but I think the Guardians traditionally look kind of Yoda-ish. Like, there's this Green Lantern fan trailer where they just take Yoda and make him blue, and it looks like a Guardian. So just make kind of a big-headed Yoda, and you've got the Guardians. But the, they just didn't look very good to me. And overall, I thought the special effects in the film, the constructs looked pretty decent, but in terms of bringing to life some of the CG characters, I didn't think they did as well. Like, Kilowog didn't look that good to me. Tomar-Ray looked okay. And Oa just didn't feel... Obviously it's computer generated, but it had a very artificial, lifeless feel to me. Like, Asgard, for some reason, to me, felt a lot more like a pretty real, not real, but an actual place. Like, Oa just felt like a background. Like, when you're playing a video game and you see the locations that you can't go to, and you know that they're just kind of there in the background. That's the feeling I got from Oa. It's just like all of it's just like hollow background stuff. I know that just probably doesn't make sense to a lot of you, but some of you can understand what I'm going with there. I guess my ideal Green Lantern origin movie would be about 65% space scenes and 35% Earth scenes, with the majority of the Earth scenes being in the beginning to establish his relationship with his family and Carol, and just set up who this character is and where he comes from, kind of what his motivation is, like spend a little bit more time on like how he wants to live up to the memory of his father, and then once he gets the ring, just go from there, take him to the basic training with Kilowog, and then he'd be shadowing Sinestro for a lot of it, and working with the other members of the Corps. Like, I felt like the members of the Green Lantern Corps were just kind of there. They weren't supporting cast. Like, I wouldn't call Kilowog and Tomar-Ray supporting characters in this, because they were just very flat and almost background. Like, the supporting characters in this are Carol Ferris and Tom. They're the people he interacts with the most, I feel. So I like shift that balance and make his relationship with the other members of the Green Lantern Corps much more important in learning to be a Green Lantern and how to work with these other members and how to really live up to this responsibility of having this whole sector that you need to protect. And you didn't get the sense that he was really doing this. Like, he's protecting planet Earth, but you don't see him going around responding to anything. Like, I kind of would have liked to get more of a sense of how that works, like how the Green Lanterns are maybe called to respond to a certain situation that they need to, that calls for the service of a Green Lantern. Like, you didn't get the sense of how the system works, or very much, or how Green Lanterns handle that responsibility of having such a wide space that they need to cover themselves. So I could go on and on and on about this, just drawing comparisons to how First Flight did it and how Secret Origins did it. Secret Origin, I feel, had its strength in his relationships, and it did the background of who Hal Jordan is very well. First Flight did the like Green Lantern Corps stuff very well, and like the whole adventure aspect of it. So mixing those two would have made for a great movie in my opinion. So I think bottom line, Green Lantern for me gets like a C, and that might be kind of generous. So don't go see Green Lantern in theaters, but do buy the trade paperback of Green Lantern Secret Origin and or the DVD of Green Lantern First Flight. So thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe and tune in next time.